Most people will spend their entire lives trading time for money, never understanding the fundamental difference between selling their labor and renting their expertise. There's a reason why certain consultants earn more in a single phone call than most people earn in a week. There's a reason why Tony Robbins went from making $440,000 a year to $50 million in just 7 years. And there's a reason why Mark Cuban charged $10,000 per hour for consultation calls while you're out here wondering if you should charge $50. The skill rental model. It's one of the most overlooked, underutilized, yet absurdly profitable approaches to building real wealth. And today I'm going to show you exactly how the wealthiest consultants, coaches, and experts have used this model to generate millions, how they scaled it systematically, and most importantly, how you can implement this starting today with zero startup capital. Before we dive deep, let me be clear about something. This is a brand new channel, and we're on a mission to reach 100 subscribers. If you're serious about understanding how wealth actually works, how the rich think differently, and how you can apply these strategies in your own life, I need you to do something right now. Hit that subscribe button. We're aiming for 50 likes on this video because I want to know that this content is reaching people who are ready to take action. And drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I want to see how far this message spreads. These aren't just requests, these are prerequisites. If you want access to the strategies I'm going to reveal in future videos, you need to be part of this community from day one. Now let's get into it. The skill rental model is deceptively simple. Instead of building a product, instead of hiring a team, instead of creating inventory or developing software, you rent your brain. You rent your expertise in concentrated time blocks to clients who need immediate high-impact solutions. 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. You deliver transformational value, you charge premium rates, and you walk away with cash in hand. No overhead, no employees, no infrastructure. Just you, your knowledge, and a calendar. But here's where it gets interesting. The skill rental model isn't just about making a comfortable living. It's the launchpad that almost every wealthy consultant, advisor, and expert used to build their empire. They didn't start with massive organizations. They started by proving that their advice was worth paying for. They started by renting their expertise, documenting results, raising their rates systematically, and then scaling into productized services, group programs, and eventually agencies worth tens or hundreds of millions. Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this principle. A story about a man who understood the value of expertise before most people even knew what consulting meant. In the early 1980s, Tony Robbins was nobody. He wasn't the global phenomenon you know today. He was a 20-something guy who had studied neuro-linguistic programming and human psychology, and he believed he could help people transform their lives. But he didn't have a brand. He didn't have credibility. He didn't have money. What he had was knowledge, and he decided to rent it. Robbins started offering seminars and one-on-one coaching sessions. Not million-dollar engagements, not stadium events, just focused sessions where he delivered value to individuals and small groups. By 1984, he was earning $440,000 a year. That's solid money, but it's not wealth. Not yet. But here's what Robbins understood that most people miss. He wasn't trying to stay at $440,000. He was using the skill rental model as validation. Every client he worked with became a case study. Every transformation he facilitated became proof that his methods worked. Every success story gave him leverage to raise his rates and expand his reach. 7 years later, by 1991, his company was generating $50 million annually. $50 million. And by 2005, Robbins was paying himself $30 million per year from his coaching business alone. His flagship program, Unleash the Power Within, was generating over $10 million in sales with average ticket prices of $5,000 per person. But here's the part that most people don't know. Robbins never abandoned the skill rental model. He didn't graduate from it and move on to something better. He scaled it. Today, Tony Robbins charges between $300,000 and $1 million for one-on-one coaching engagements. That's not a typo. $300,000 to $1 million per engagement. He took the foundational principle of renting his expertise in time blocks and maximize the per-unit price as his brand value grew. Think about what that means. Robbins proved that the skill rental model doesn't have a ceiling. It has a launching pad. You start at $100 or $200 per session. You build proof. You document results. You raise your rates to $500, then $1,000, then $5,000, then $10,000. And for those at the absolute pinnacle, you charge what Robbins charges, because by that point, you're not selling time. You're selling guaranteed transformation backed by decades of proven results. Now let's talk about someone else who understood this principle at a completely different level. Mark Cuban. In 2012, Cuban was already a billionaire, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, star of Shark Tank, self-made from selling companies during the dot-com boom. He didn't need money. But when a platform called Clarity launched, offering entrepreneurs access to expert advisors for short consultation calls, Cuban signed up, and he set his rate at $10,000 per hour. That's $166.67 per minute. The most expensive advisor on the entire platform. Why would a billionaire bother with consultation calls? Because Cuban understood something fundamental. Your advice has extreme value, and there are people willing to pay extraordinary amounts to access it. But more importantly, Cuban's pricing sent a psychological message. It said, if you're serious, if you're committed, if you actually want access to someone who has built and sold billion-dollar companies, you will pay premium rates. And that premium pricing filters for quality. It self-selects clients who are serious, who are prepared, who are going to execute on the advice they receive. Cuban wasn't trying to maximize volume. He wasn't trying to do 50 calls a week. He was demonstrating that the skill rental model works at the absolute highest levels of wealth when you position your expertise correctly and charge accordingly. It validated that people will pay not just hundreds, but thousands, even tens of thousands for access to proven expertise, even in short time blocks. If you're still with me, drop a comment right now with your biggest takeaway so far. I want to know what's resonating with you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. The strategies I'm revealing only get more valuable from here. Now let's look at someone who evolved the skill rental model into something even more interesting. Jordan Peterson. Peterson is known as a psychologist, professor, and author. But what most people don't realize is that he built a fortune by renting his expertise in a slightly different format. In 2018, Peterson disclosed that he was earning $80,000 per month from Patreon alone. That's $960,000 annually from subscribers who paid monthly fees for access to his Q&A content, exclusive material, and ongoing insights. But that wasn't his only revenue stream. He was simultaneously earning $35,000 to $50,000 per speaking engagement. He was generating approximately $30,000 monthly from book royalties on 20,000 weekly sales. And he had another $200,000 monthly coming from his clinical practice and other advisory ventures. At his peak, Jordan Peterson was generating approximately $400,000 per month from skill rental and advisory-based revenue streams. What's remarkable about Peterson's model is that he evolved skill rental into a subscription-based version. Instead of selling individual sessions, he created ongoing access. Clients weren't renting his time once. They were renting continuous access to his thinking, his analysis, his frameworks. This is the natural evolution of the skill rental model. You start with one-on-one sessions. You prove your value. Then you transition to one-to-many models where a single piece of content or a single session delivers value to hundreds or thousands of paying subscribers simultaneously. Peterson achieved this without traditional business infrastructure. No offices, no large team, no complex operations, just the direct sale of his expertise and voice, packaged in a way that allowed subscribers to feel they had ongoing access to his mind. This is critical. The skill rental model isn't limited to one-on-one calls, it evolves. And the most successful practitioners understand how to scale from individual sessions to group programs, to subscription models, to full-scale productized businesses. Let me give you another example. Dan Sullivan. Sullivan founded Strategic Coach in 1988. He started with one-on-one coaching sessions with CEOs and entrepreneurs. Just him, his expertise, and clients willing to pay for access. But Sullivan understood the scaling path. He evolved his model to group coaching workshops delivered quarterly. Same fundamental principle, renting his expertise in concentrated time blocks. But now, instead of working with one person at a time, he was working with groups of 10, 20, 50 entrepreneurs simultaneously. Over 50-plus years, Sullivan has empowered over 20,000 entrepreneurs through this model. Strategic Coach has become a multi-million-dollar enterprise, but it started with skill rental. Sullivan perfected the systematic scaling. He began with one-on-one sessions in 1982, expanded to workshop programs in 1989, then created tiered offerings, the Signature Program, the 10X Program, the Game Changer Program. Each tier allowed entrepreneurs at different levels to access his expertise at different price points. This demonstrates that the skill rental model doesn't mean remaining at $100 or $200 or even $500 per session. It means establishing the foundation, proving the concept, creating proof through client results, and then building scalability through productization and group offerings. Now let's talk about Patrick McKenzie, also known online as Patio 11. McKenzie publicly documented his entire journey from charging $100 per hour as a programmer to running a high-end software marketing consultancy, charging $50,000 per week. $50,000 per week. His transition wasn't about abandoning the principle of selling expertise for time. It was about dramatically increasing his positioning and perceived value. McKenzie worked with companies like Stripe and other high-growth startups, applying specialized marketing expertise that generated millions in value for clients. By focusing on outcomes rather than hourly time, by building case studies demonstrating $500,000 or more in incremental revenue created for clients, he was able to command rates that would seem absurd to most consultants. Think about that progression, $100 per hour to $50,000 per week. That's not luck, that's not magic. That's systematic escalation based on documented results and strategic positioning. McKenzie proved that the skill rental model works exceptionally well when consultants focus on delivering massive return on investment to clients, which then justifies 10 times, 20 times, even 50 times increases in pricing. Every one of these examples demonstrates the same fundamental pattern. Start by renting your expertise. Prove that it delivers value. Document the results. Raise your rates systematically. Transition from hourly billing to value-based pricing to productized offers, and eventually, if you want, scale into group programs, subscription models, or agencies. But here's the part that most people miss. The skill rental model works not because you're selling time. It works because of the economics and psychology behind it. Let's talk about the economics first. The skill rental model has extraordinary efficiency. Where traditional businesses require months or years to build infrastructure, skill rental generates income from day one. A consultant charging $100 to $300 per hour for a 30-minute to 1-hour session can earn $50 to $300 per call. What makes this particularly profitable is that clients perceive the value as proportionally higher than the time invested. A 30-minute call feels affordable and accessible, yet the annual revenue from just a handful of weekly calls becomes substantial. Let me break down the math for you because this is where it gets interesting. Booking 5 clients per week at an average of $200 per session equals $1,000 weekly. That's approximately $52,000 annually. And that's before scaling up pricing or frequency. That's baseline. Entry-level skill rental. But here's where it compounds. Since there's minimal overhead, profit margins approach 80 to 95% on individual consulting calls. A consultant charging $200 per session with minimal platform costs enjoys margins that would make most product businesses envious. You're not buying inventory. You're not paying for manufacturing. You're not managing logistics. You're delivering knowledge, and knowledge has infinite scalability with near zero marginal cost. Now let's talk about the psychology. Part of the skill rental model's power lies in psychological pricing. Clients perceive $200 for a 30-minute session as far more affordable than $50,000 for a consulting project. Yet the annual revenue from even a few weekly sessions approaches or exceeds annual project values. A consultant booking 5 clients weekly at $200 per session generates $52,000 annually, approaching many project fees, while the time commitment feels minimal to the consultant and manageable for the client. Additionally, short sessions reduce client commitment anxiety. A business owner might hesitate to commit to a 90-day, $25,000 engagement with an unknown consultant, but they'll readily book a 30-minute call to explore whether they want deeper work. This funnel effect naturally concentrates client acquisition cost and improves conversion from exploration to larger engagements. Think about this from the client's perspective. They're not committing to months of work. They're not signing contracts. They're not risking huge sums. They're risking $200 in 30 minutes to see if you can actually help them. That low barrier to entry means they say yes faster. They book more readily, and they experience your value firsthand before making larger commitments. And here's the beautiful part. Once a consultant delivers results on a clarity call or consulting session, clients naturally want to upgrade to larger engagements. A $200 consultation call frequently converts into a $5,000 to $25,000 productized package or monthly retainer. Research shows that retaining clients costs 5 to 25 times less than acquiring new ones, and that retaining clients can increase profits by 25 to 95%. This is the hidden leverage in the skill rental model. You're not just generating revenue from individual sessions, you're creating a client acquisition funnel where the entry point is low risk and affordable, but the lifetime value of each client is exponentially higher because they experience transformation and want more. If you're seeing the potential here, if you're starting to understand how this model could transform your income, I need you to hit that like button right now. We're going for 50 likes on this video. That tells me you're engaged, you're paying attention, and you're ready to implement what you're learning. And if you haven't subscribed, do it now, because the next section is where I'm going to show you exactly how to build your own skill rental practice step by step. Let's get tactical. Let's talk about how you actually build this. Step 1, identify your rentable expertise. The most successful consultants don't rent generic skills. They rent highly specialized expertise with proven business impact. The strongest positioning combines deep expertise with a specific target market facing a particular problem. Let me give you examples. Shopify optimization for e-commerce brands, financial modeling for SaaS founders, LinkedIn strategy for B2B agencies, AI integration for professional services, email marketing for course creators, conversion rate optimization for online retailers. These are specific, targeted, high-value skills that businesses need immediately and are willing to pay premium rates to access. The key is specificity. You don't want to be a general business consultant. You want to be the person who solves a particular problem for a particular type of client better than anyone else. Because when you have that level of specificity, clients don't negotiate. They don't shop around. They say, "You're exactly who I need. Let's book a call." Step 2, set your initial rate. And here's where most people screw this up. They underprice from insecurity. New consultants chronically underprice their expertise, charging $50 to $100 when they could command $250 to $500. This stems from insecurity, not market feedback. Let me give you a progression. Entry level, 0 to 2 years of experience, $50 to $150 per session. Intermediate, 2 to 5 years, $150 to $300 per session. Advanced, 5+ years, $300 to $500 or more per session. Expert or celebrity status, $500 to $5,000 or more per session. But here's what you need to understand. These aren't rigid categories. They're guidelines. The most successful consultants increase rates systematically. Every completed project or successful engagement is a signal to raise rates. A consultant starting at $100 per session should plan to be at $200 within 6 months and $300 to $500 within 2 years. Why? Because pricing reflects positioned value, not time. If you deliver a strategic insight in 30 minutes that saves a client $500,000, you're not charging based on the 30 minutes. You're charging based on the value created. This mindset shift is fundamental to pricing premium rates. Step 3, package your offering. Rather than selling undefined consulting time, package it as a specific solution. 30-minute clarity calls addressing a specific decision or strategic question. 60-minute implementation sessions delivering tactical wins. 90-minute strategy packages creating a concrete action plan. Monthly retainer calls providing ongoing optimization. Structure each session to deliver outcomes, not just advice. A clarity call should conclude with a documented decision, roadmap, or implementation plan that the client can execute. Because when clients walk away with something tangible, something they can immediately implement, they remember that value. They refer other clients. They come back for more. Step 4. Build your booking infrastructure. Use simple tools like Calendly, Clarity.fm, or specialized coaching platforms to manage bookings, automate payment processing, and eliminate friction. Include a clear pre-call questionnaire so clients prepare properly, which increases the probability of delivering impact and generating referrals. This is critical. The easier you make it for clients to book and pay, the more clients you'll get. If there's friction in the process, if they have to email back and forth to find a time, if payment is complicated, you're losing money. Automate everything. Make booking as simple as clicking a link, selecting a time, and paying. Done. Step 5. Document results and create case studies. After each significant engagement, document the results. What problem did the client face? What decision or implementation resulted? What was the outcome? Revenue impact, time saved, clients acquired, problem solved. These case studies become your most powerful sales tool for both raising rates and converting consulting calls into larger engagements. Let me tell you why this matters. When you're starting out, you're selling based on credentials and promises. But once you have case studies, you're selling based on proof. You're saying, I helped this client generate $200,000 in new revenue in 90 days. I helped this founder reduce their customer acquisition cost by 40%. I helped this agency land 3 new clients worth $60,000 in total contract value. That's not selling, that's demonstrating value. And when you demonstrate value, clients don't negotiate. They say, I want those results, let's work together. Step 6. Create upsells and productized offers. Once clients experience the value of a single session, they naturally want ongoing or deeper support. Develop a tiered offering system. Entry: 30-minute consultation, $100 to $300. Mid-tier, 3 to 5 session package addressing a specific problem, $2,500 to $5,000. Premium: 90-day transformation program with weekly sessions, $10,000 to $25,000. This structure captures multiple revenue streams from the same client base. You're not constantly hunting for new clients. You're nurturing relationships and ascending clients through higher value offerings as they experience success with you. Let me give you a real-world example of how this plays out. One consultant documented in research earned $600,000 annually as a solopreneur through productized consulting. Not from high volume, from a smaller number of premium engagements valued at $10,000 to $30,000 each. Another consulting practitioner, Rich Thompson, started as a biology tutor, charging £200 per hour, approximately $300 US. He could serve only 10 students yearly because of time constraints. But then he created an online course based on the patterns he'd identified in his tutoring. He packaged his expertise. He transitioned from one-on-one skill rental to one-to-many productized content. Eventually, he scaled to $700,000 in annual revenue with recurring course subscribers. That's the evolution. That's the scaling path. You start with skill rental. You prove your value. You document results. You raise your rates. You create productized offers. And eventually you transition to leverage-based models that generate revenue without proportional increases in time. Now let me tell you about the obstacles. Because despite the documented success of wealthy consultants using the skill rental model, most professionals underutilize it, and there are predictable reasons why. Obstacle 1. Underpricing from insecurity. We already talked about this, but it's worth repeating. New consultants chronically underprice. They charge $50 or $100 when they could command $250 or $500. This isn't based on market feedback. It's based on fear. Fear that clients won't pay. Fear that they're not good enough. Fear that they'll be rejected. But here's the truth, the market doesn't care about your insecurity. The market cares about results. If you deliver value, if you solve problems, if you create outcomes, clients will pay premium rates. You just have to ask for them. Obstacle 2. Conflating time with value. Consultants confuse hourly billing with consulting value. They think, I'm only spending 30 minutes, so I can only charge this much. But a 30-minute call delivering a $500,000 strategic insight isn't worth $150 at $300 per hour. It's worth a fraction of the value created. This is the mindset shift that separates six-figure consultants from seven-figure consultants. You're not selling time. You're selling outcomes. You're selling transformation. You're selling expertise that took you years to develop. The client isn't paying for 30 minutes. They're paying for the decade of experience that allows you to deliver that insight in 30 minutes. Obstacle 3. Failure to establish systematic escalation. Successful consultants understand that the skill rental model is a launch pad, not a destination. They systematically transition from hourly rates to value-based pricing to productized offers. Most struggling consultants remain stuck in phase 1, unable to articulate why they should command higher rates. They keep doing the same 30-minute calls at $100 per session year after year. They never raise rates. They never create case studies. They never build productized offers. They stay stuck. And the reason they stay stuck is because they don't have a plan for escalation. So let me give you that plan. Let me show you the exact scaling path that the wealthiest consultants follow. Phase 1. Hourly or session-based consulting. $50 to $300 per hour. This is the foundation. You work directly with clients, delivering immediate value. Examples: early-stage consultants, fractional CTOs, executive coaches charging $200 to $350 per hour. This phase is about building proof, documenting results, and establishing credibility. Phase 2. Productized services, $5,000 to $25,000 per engagement. As consultants gain proof and positioning, they package their expertise into standardized offerings. Rather than custom consulting, they offer discovery audits at $2,500 to $5,000, implementation packages at $15,000 to $50,000, ongoing partnerships at $5,000 to $15,000 monthly. The difference from phase 1 is that pricing now reflects value delivered rather than time invested. Phase 3. Subscription, group, or productized models. High leverage revenue. Successful consultants transition to models like Dan Sullivan's group workshops, Tony Robbins seminars, or subscription-based offerings like Jordan Peterson's Patreon. These generate revenue without proportional time increases. You're delivering value to groups, to cohorts, to subscribers. One session, hundreds or thousands of paying clients. Phase 4. Agency or team-based scaling. Some consultants hire other consultants or specialists and operate an agency model, taking a percentage of revenue while reducing their personal delivery time. One documented case showed an agency owner scaling to $1 million annually in profit by shifting the business model from personal delivery to team-based delivery with strategic oversight. This is the path. This is how you go from making $50,000 a year to $500,000 to $5 million to $50 million. You don't jump straight to phase 4. You master phase 1. You prove your value. You build case studies. You systematically raise your rates. You transition to productized offers. You create leverage. You scale. Tony Robbins did it. Mark Cuban validated it. Dan Sullivan perfected it. Jordan Peterson evolved it. Patrick McKenzie documented it. Eben Pagan, who claims to have generated over $100 million through his products and services, started as a consultant and expertise seller, teaching others marketing and business skills through seminars, coaching, and courses. He used the profits from skill rental to fund the development of productized courses, which then scaled to millions. Every one of these examples follows the same pattern: master the skill rental model, use it to build capital and proof of concept. Leverage that foundation to scale into larger businesses. Now here's what I want you to understand. The skill rental model has one exceptional advantage: infinite scalability of unit economics. While a consultant can only deliver a limited number of sessions weekly, perhaps 15 to 25, The revenue per session can increase dramatically without proportional cost increases. A consultant working 20 hours weekly, who increases their rate from $100 to $500 per hour, just multiplied their revenue 5 times without increasing workload. Think about that. Same amount of time, 5 times the revenue. That's not working harder. That's working smarter. That's understanding positioning, value, and pricing psychology. Furthermore, documentation of successful outcomes enables transition to productized or leverage-based revenue models like group programs, courses, subscription services that generate revenue without additional personal time. You build it once, you sell it repeatedly. You deliver it once, hundreds or thousands benefit. That's the ultimate leverage. And here's the hidden advantage that most people never talk about. The skill rental model requires 0 startup costs. Unlike product businesses requiring inventory, SaaS requiring development, or agencies requiring team hiring, the skill rental model generates revenue with virtually no upfront investment. All you need is expertise, a calendar, and a booking system. That's it. No loans, no investors, no risk. This explains why it's particularly attractive for professionals transitioning from employment to entrepreneurship. You can start tomorrow, you can book your first client this week, you can generate cash flow immediately while you're still employed, while you're building your business, while you're proving your model. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're currently employed making $70,000 a year. You have expertise in a specific domain, marketing, finance, operations, technology, whatever it is. You decide to test the skill rental model. You set up a Calendly link. You post on LinkedIn that you're offering 30-minute strategy calls for $150. You get your first booking. You deliver massive value. That client refers someone else. You book another call, then another. Within 3 months, you're doing 5 calls per week at $150 each. That's $3,000 per month, $36,000 annually. And you're still employed. But you don't stop there. You raise your rates to $250. You document your results. You create case studies. You develop a productized offer, a 3-session package for $1,500. Some of your one-off clients upgrade. Now you're generating $6,000 per month, $72,000 annually, from side work. Within a year, you quit your job, you go full-time, you raise your rates to $500 per session, you book 10 sessions per week. That's $5,000 weekly, $20,000 monthly, $240,000 annually, and now you're working 20 hours per week, not 40 or 50. But you're not done. You create a 90-day transformation program priced at $15,000. You enroll 4 clients per quarter. That's $60,000 per quarter, $240,000 annually, on top of your session revenue. Now you're at $480,000 annually, and you keep scaling. You create a group program, 20 participants paying $2,000 each for quarterly access. That's $40,000 per quarter, $160,000 annually. Now you're at $640,000. That's the path. That's how you go from employed and stuck to financially free and in control. You master the skill rental model. You prove your value. You systematically escalate. You create leverage. You scale. This isn't theory. This isn't speculation. This is documented. This is how the wealthy consultants and advisors you've heard about actually built their fortunes. They didn't start with empires. They started with expertise and a willingness to rent it. Now let me address the elephant in the room. Why does this model remain underutilized if it's so effective? Because most people are terrified of pricing themselves appropriately. They're terrified of rejection. They're terrified of being told no. So they underprice. They undervalue themselves. They stay stuck. But here's what you need to understand. Every time you underprice, you're not just leaving money on the table. You're reinforcing a belief that your expertise isn't valuable. You're training clients to expect cheap rates. You're attracting low-quality clients who don't value what you offer. And you're making it harder to raise rates later because you've established a precedent. The most successful consultants embrace the principle that pricing reflects positioned value, not time. They charge premium rates from the beginning, or they systematically escalate every few months. They filter for serious clients. They document results. They build case studies. And they use that proof to justify even higher rates. This is the wealth-building mindset. This is how you think differently. You don't compete on price, you compete on value. You don't sell time, you sell transformation. You don't apologize for your rates, you justify them with proof. And here's the final piece that ties everything together. The skill rental model is not a limit on income. It's a launching pad that accelerates wealth building for those who understand how to package expertise, position it strategically, and systematically escalate pricing as they validate their value in the market. Tony Robbins went from 440,000 to 50 million using this model. Mark Cuban charged $10,000 per hour. Jordan Peterson generated $400,000 per month. Dan Sullivan built a multi-million-dollar enterprise. Patrick McKenzie went from $100 per hour to $50,000 per week. Eben Pagan generated over $100 million by starting with skill rental and scaling into productized offerings. Every one of them started where you are now, with expertise, with knowledge, with the willingness to rent their ability instead of selling it cheaply. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, before you close this video, I want you to take action. First, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We're building a community of people who think differently about wealth, who understand the strategies the rich use, who are ready to implement these models in their own lives. We need 100 subscribers, and I need you to be one of them. Second, hit that like button. We're aiming for 50 likes on this video because that tells me this content is valuable, that it's resonating, that you're paying attention. If this video delivered value, if you learned something, if you're seeing possibilities you didn't see before, show me with a like. Third, drop a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. I want to know how far this message is spreading. And tell me your biggest takeaway or your current challenge. What's stopping you from implementing the skill rental model? What questions do you have? What obstacles are you facing? Drop a comment and let me know. And finally, take the first step. Identify your rentable expertise, set your rate, package your offering, build your booking infrastructure, start renting your ability, because the skill rental model isn't about someday, it's about today. It's about taking what you know, packaging it, positioning it, and getting paid what you're actually worth. The wealthy consultants and advisors didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They started. They proved their value. They documented results. They raised their rates. They scaled. And now they're financially free. You can do the same. You have the knowledge, you have the framework, you have the examples. Now you just need to execute. This is William Vanderbilt with Premium Wealth Insights. The skill rental model is your launching pad. Use it, master it, scale it, and build the wealth you deserve. I'll see you in the next one.